Welcome to the Cutting Edge Convention, a worldwide movement to revolutionize your life. No more stumbling around in the dark, wasting precious weeks, months, and years trying to figure it out on your own. Get ready for valuable innovations and strategies. And now, here's your host, Marcy Peters, the Age Backward Mentor.
Welcome back to the Cutting Edge Convention, innovations to revolutionize your life. I'm your host, Marcy Peters, the Age Backward Mentor. I help smart, successful men and women just like you step into a life they love and a body they love being in so that they don't have to traditionally age. They can age backward. And I know that this is important for a lot of people. And today, what else is important is love and relationships. Having those meaningful connections in our lives is really part of that health and happiness equation. So today I have someone very special. I'm going to tell you about her. And then we're going to jump into our topic, which is cultivating sacred, lasting love, which I think is important to most of us to have that in our lives. So let me tell you about Master Relationship Coach, Dr. Divinity, Emunah Malinovitz, and I'm so sorry, we're going to talk about how to say that right, works with singles and couples on the tools of sacred partnership and divine masculine and divine feminine. She hosts retreats and workshops around the world. She developed the Sacred Union System to help couples create sacred love that lasts. Welcome.
Awesome. Hi.
Hi. I'm so sorry. How do you say your name correctly?
Yes, it's Emunah Malinovitz.
Okay.
Yes, I know it's a mouthful.
It's beautiful. And it's a longer name. So also Emunah.
Yes, and most people always want to know, what does Emunah mean? So Emunah means faith in Hebrew, and it's totally apropos to who I am and this message of sacred love, because I really help people have the faith in having this deep sacred love. And so my name really is that essence that I am.
That's beautiful. Thank you. So we're going to talk about creating sacred lasting love. What do you consider sacred lasting love? What is this concept?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, well, sacred love is this kind of love that really touches your soul, where you're with your partner and you feel so connected. You can merge into this oneness, into this divinity. You feel nourished at a place where you maybe have wanted to and desired to, but maybe never gotten to. But sacred love is what we're here, I believe, to experience. And I think we all have this longing for more, and we don't know exactly how to get it and how to access it. And for myself, that was my longing, like I had relationships and I was just like, there has to be more than this. Like, I am not fulfilled at the level that I feel I can be. And so that led me on my search to find my own sacred love. And in that, I really discovered the formula and how to help people get there, and even how to help couples who may have lost it but had it before get it back.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. I love this concept. It sounds really almost like a fairy tale to me. It sounds like something you see in the movies. How do you differentiate that idea, that Hollywood idea, to real life?
Yeah, it's a great one, because I think that we do think that. Some of us think, well, is it real? I don't want to believe in this sacred love because I'm going to get my heart broken. And so we see these tales of fairy tales and stories, and, it's epic, the things that we see. And yet in our lives, we're like, why do I keep feeling challenged? Why did I feel that passion and now it's gone? And so this is about getting whole on the inside, like actually becoming the energy that can receive that. And so it's not a fairy tale, it's real, but I'm also not going to lie, it's not easy. Like, you don't just wave a wand and go, boom, there you go. You have to be willing on this path of consciousness to evolve, to look at your stuff, to see your patterns, to take responsibility, to really become that person, that wholeness that can receive that kind of love. And I think that it's available, but I think that it actually scares a lot of us. We want it, but then we're like, I don't know. Oh, I don't know, because it's vulnerable to let somebody in at that deep level.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds amazing. So this word consciousness or conscious comes up a lot in this discussion, as you know, we're all evolving as humans and as a species and as a planet. What can you talk more to consciousness and what a conscious partnership is?
Yes. And so, yeah, I believe that we've evolved. We are evolving. We're in the process of evolving. Many of the listeners, I'm sure, that would be attracted to a summit like this are on a path of growth. They're growing themselves, and that's commendable. And it would make sense that as we evolve, so do our relationships, right? And consciousness is our energy, our ability to be connected. It's our connection to a higher power, whatever that means for people. But being aware of that, it's like there's much more to this world than just living this linear life of having kids, you know, doing the carpool. And so when we have that, we still might feel empty because we want this deeper connection and sacred relationships, sacred sexuality, consciousness, bringing that presence. It's really being present and aware with your partner, right? Like I fully show up. I'm grounded. I'm here. I'm not off over here or thinking about this or on my phone. No, like I'm present and I'm with you. And in that connection, wow, you can then connect to the bigger consciousness of life and create from that place. I mean, there's some really sacred tools and manifestations. And I think deep secrets from, you know, the past that we weren't quite ready for in our consciousness. And as we've evolved, relationships have evolved. But yet most of us are still trying to fit into this box of what was, even though we've grown, and it's confusing. You know, I have a lot of compassion for people because they're like, why am I not finding the right partner? Or why am I feeling this? And there's not a lot of conversation about this. So I'm really glad that we're getting the opportunity to talk about it today and, you know, hopefully inspire people just to have permission to think deeper about what they really want in their connection, because it is possible.
Yeah, thank you so much. You bring up such a good point that yes, as we evolve, our relationships are also evolving and taking on a different depth and a different meaning. So you mentioned deeper connections. Where do we start? I think, you know, having those deeper connections are a big part of feeling really fulfilled and satisfied in life. Where do we start with having those deeper connections?
Yeah, the good news is that we get to start with ourselves. And I say that's the good news because most of the time we get in a relationship and we want to blame the other person, right? If they would just do this, if they would just do this, it would be fine. And we feel almost helpless that we can't control it. And what I've learned from my own life and from the clients that I work with is when you take responsibility to see, like, why am I attracting that? What's the mirror for me? And look within. And usually there is patterns, there's old belief systems, there's the ways we've had, you know, our upbringing, what we've saw. We haven't seen many models of this conscious relationship. Right. And so we do get to start with ourselves. You know, when I work with single clients, helping them I help them get whole. And when they're whole in consciousness, then they're ready to attract what I call their whole mate. But until then, if they're dating, they're going to attract people who will bring up their stuff to heal. And that's beautiful too. But if you're not aware of it, then you don't take responsibility and you blame and shame. And it's an endless cycle. So I really believe it starts with ourselves, and that's the good news. And being willing to look within and first even admit that you want something deeper, right? Like get honest with that. Yeah, because a lot of people don't. Like, this isn't for everybody, and that's okay. You know, a lot of people may be happy with just having a companion, someone to be with, someone to connect with. In my world, that was just not enough. You know, I had a boyfriend once where it really came down where, you know, I was with him for 9 years and I kept trying to make him be this. I want this deeper love. You know, I was reading Marianne Williamson's book, Enchanted Love, and I'm like, yes, this is what I know is possible. And I remember always trying to make him be there, get it, blaming him for all the things that were wrong. And then one day he said to me, I said, this is what I want, this enchanted love. And he said, I would be fine if we were just kind of like Ross and Rachel on Friends, like we're friends. And I said, wow, I'm so sorry. Like, that's not what I want. And I'm so sorry that I've tried to convince you when you should go after and find a woman that would be so happy with that.
Yeah.
But for me, I want more. My soul yearns for this deeper, soulful connection where I could just kind of melt in another and, like just merge in something deeper. And I think I was born with this yearning because now I know it's my purpose to bring it. So it starts to make sense. But it was like, I just was so unhappy with what I was seeing. And it caused me to travel around the world and study with teachers all over to learn all of the things I know about connection. And it's like, yeah, there's nothing more powerful than that. But so everyone, it's okay if people don't want that.
Yeah.
It's totally fine. But it's just knowing what you want and making sure that the person you're choosing to be in relationship with, they're on the same page. Because you can create whatever you want. But if you want something deeper, I just want people to know that it does exist.
Thank you. Yes. I so understand that desire. And so it sounds like what you're saying is first get clear on what's important to you. And then you mentioned the good news is that it starts with you. So what is some of the inner work someone can do when they know they want something deeper and they're clear on that?
Yes. One of the main things, which is not talked about and overlooked by most relationship coaches and experts, is this balance within of our sacred masculine and feminine energy. And I say the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine because most of us, we haven't had a real connection to our own energy. And so the connection we have is not sacred. It may be we're living from our shadow masculine, our shadow feminine, our needy part. Love me, give me energy. I need you to complete me. That's how we were raised. And we think that that energy is outside of ourselves, right? So I'm going to go and I'm going to attract somebody and they're going to make me happy. And then, oh my God, I'll be so happy. And that's what we're taught. Even I know in the study that I did and the work that I've done, I've traveled around the world. Like I said, in one of my teachers, I studied David Data and I studied under a beautiful mentor, Satyan Raja. And one of the things I learned there was, you got to be really in your feminine energy if you want to attract a masculine partner. So I would really get in my feminine and really call in that masculine. And I would call in masculine men. But the problem, and this is where I realized the importance of what I'm going to share with you right now, is that I would call in these men, and they were masculine, but their heart wasn't open. And I was like, what is going on here? I don't understand this. And I realized one day that it's because I was suppressing my own masculine and pushing him down and almost shaming him so that I could have a partner in my life, because I thought that is what I'm supposed to do to have that man. And once I realized that and I embraced and healed my own masculine and I really got them connected, my own masculine in union with my own feminine, got them in harmony, balance, wholeness. All of a sudden, I'm telling you, after so many years of working so hard to attract these kind of relationships, once I got in balance, this beautiful man just found me on Facebook and sent me a message and is like, you're so beautiful. I would love to connect with you. And we connected, and it was the most beautiful, energetic, divine relationship of this sacred love. And so I knew that this was a big key that was missing. And that's also part of when I say we've evolved in relationships. In the past, we needed each other, right? As a woman, I needed a man to survive. My goodness, we didn't work. Women are the caregivers, and men needed women to take care of the home, to cook for them, to clean for them. So we came together almost out of need, okay, and we're going to create this partnership. And as we've evolved, women are much more independent. We take care of ourselves. We make our own money. Men are much more coming from their heart. They can be taking care of children, staying home. There's such a breadth. And when we understand that and we come from that understanding and see, oh, relationships aren't based on need anymore. I don't need you. So how are you going to be? How are you going to show up so that energetically we support each other in our dreams and our desires?
Yes. This is such an important concept. You know, each of us, no matter if you're male or female, have this masculine and this feminine energy. So it's that dance of, you know, what's going on with both of them. So, okay. So what are some ways that someone can get into balance? You mentioned that you needed to get into balance with both of your masculine and your feminine energies together.
Well, first, you just need to have awareness that you have both.
Always the first step.
Number one. And then number two would be like really having support, or if you're really good and you can check in and you're very intuitive with yourself, you can tap in and start to connect with your masculine and feminine. Start to actually feel, how does my masculine energy feel? How does my feminine energy feel? Like me, I was ignoring my masculine. And I had to like forgive myself and forgive my masculine and really like build my masculine back up. And I did a whole kind of ceremony and healing around it. And when I work with clients, you know, people have layers and layers of this stuff. And we also have not just our own masculine or feminine energy, but our parents' masculine, feminine energy, society, you know. We go back to, you know, for me, the sacred connection and relationship that inspires me the most is that of Mary Magdalene and Jesus, right? And they had this sacred union, but yet her energy, the feminine, Mary Magdalene's energy wasn't honored. It was forgotten. It was ignored. It was even made to be slutty, shameful, dirty, the feminine. And yet her piece in being Jesus's partner and helping him ascend, like there's so much, and the way they connected energetically. I mean, this is the sacred love that's possible. But back then, 2,000 years ago, that feminine part of us got wiped away and ignored in men and women. And we went more towards patriarchy and masculine energy. And so everyone has this. And a lot of times when I work with women, it's helping them get back into their feminine. But I want them also to know they don't have to do it at the expense of thinking their masculine is wrong or bad. It's great, right? It's powerful, but it's how do we bring it into balance? So we need to have more awareness and then check in and be able to see, where's my masculine energy? Where's my feminine energy? What does my masculine energy need from me? We have to start to be the partner within ourselves that we want on the outside, right? So my masculine actually takes care and is the protector of my feminine and helps me build my business. And my feminine nourishes my masculine. Right? And my feminine is grateful and respects my own masculine. Before, I was emasculating my own masculine, right? And we don't know this because we haven't been taught. But then on the outside, you will always see where you are by what's happening in your relationship, by who you're attracting. And so again, it takes being able to see things like that. And I think this is my gift. I have a very special radar focus. I can just see this and help people and help them get to that core issue where they may have gotten out of balance. But just this knowing right here for the people listening, just knowing that we are both masculine and feminine, and just knowing that there's nothing wrong with you. You don't have to suppress your masculine to get a man. You don't have to, you know, and for men have this feminine, and it's what women want. We want a man that has a strong masculine. He has like conscious balls, I would say, like he's grounded, but he has a beautiful open heart.
Yes.
And that is the balance. That's a man that's balanced in his feminine and in his masculine. And that kind of man, if we want to attract that, then I need to be a woman who's balanced in my masculine and in my feminine, because sometimes the men need to also have a safe place held for them to feel their emotions. And I think that a lot of men are struggling and suffering unnecessarily because this conversation really isn't happening. And so they don't know that, oh my God, I have feminine in me and I can open that. And how do I make it feel safe? It's also scary for them too. And so being able to be grounded in both energies, like you said and mentioned, partners can go back and forth and be in the masculine when needed and the feminine, but it's an awareness. It's not doing it just on automatic. It's like, oh, I'm going to hold this space.
Okay. Can you talk about what some of the qualities are of masculine and feminine so people can start to understand when they're in one versus the other?
Yes. So masculine is much more our purpose, focus, direction, and masculine is like single focus, going to the goal, right? And masculine is also the protector energy, the provider, right? But it's very focused. It's not distracted. Whereas feminine energy is creativity and life force and sensuality and all the senses. And sometimes the feminine can be all over the place, right? And sometimes the feminine is our emotions. It's our ability to feel. It's our intuition. It's our creativity. And so sometimes we ignore both men and women, the feminine, and we're just so focused, driven. And then we're burnt out, exhausted, frustrated, tired, or we might check out and do unconscious things to relax, whether we're drinking or getting high or even having unconscious sex, just to like get a break from that driving force. But when you understand these energies, especially in relationship, you know, like as a woman that has her own business, when I'm working, I can be focused in my masculine and like get stuff done. But I'm also very in tune to my feminine. If I feel really tired, if I feel really exhausted, I will no longer like push myself through and force myself to get something done. I listen to my body. I listen to my feminine. And that builds this great relationship, this balance. So I'm not over on one side and then getting burnt out. And also it's important in relationships because, like I said, we're not just stay-at-home moms or working dads. We've got a lot going on. You know, we're working, we're mothers, some people, fathers, and wanting to have a significant connected partnership. So you have to know when to turn that on. So if I'm in my masculine energy all day working and then I'm coming home to my partner and I want to get into a more sacred love space, I need to actually consciously shift it off. Like maybe I take a bath, I take a shower, I just get out of that mode. And then I do things to nourish my feminine and get in that space of, okay, now I'm present and I'm here with my partner, and vice versa. And that's what we all want from each other, quality presence. And when we give that to each other, we don't need a lot. Like we don't need hours and hours and hours of this. We need like 15 good minutes of solid, true presence and connection. And we're nourished. You know, it's like that energy feeds us and we feel full and whole and live from that balanced place. And then our relationships reflect it.
I love that. Thank you. Okay. So in creating this conscious, sacred, lasting partnership, awareness, and then awareness of specifically the masculine, feminine energies that we move back and forth in throughout our days and lives. Okay, so before we move on to the next thing, is there anything else around this masculine, feminine conversation that we haven't touched on?
No, I think we got it. It's just mostly realizing we have both. Being gentle with yourself and coming back to that sacred place, not the shadow place, but just that awareness that we do have both. And some of us do have more feminine energy than others, and some have more masculine, and it's exactly how it's meant to be. And when you're in that right balance, you'll attract the right balance for you outside there. And it's a key if you're not and you're feeling frustrated by your relationships. This may be the key for a lot of people listening that finally makes sense. And they're like, oh, I see. Now it makes sense. I've been in my masculine all the time and I'm expecting to attract this partner that's going to be open and connected and in his heart. And we have to look at that and see, because that could be where the energy and the imbalance is.
Okay, great. Thank you. You mentioned shadow a few times. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so it's like the dark energy. You know, when we think of the shadow feminine, like I mentioned Mary Magdalene, she was in the shadow, right? Her negative qualities. So the negative qualities of the feminine may be, oh, the feminine is so emotional. The feminine's needy. The feminine wants so much love. And the feminine is catty, the feminine can be manipulative, and the feminine can be, and the feminine doesn't have love, which is what the feminine desires. And when we don't have that love really on the inside, we think that we're going to get it from the outside. That's where it is. And so we can get needy, and it can get suffocating for the masculine. And then they get in there like, oh, it's too much. And, I just need my freedom and all of this stuff. And so the shadow of the masculine is kind of escaping out, using drugs or just unconscious sex, just being, or even what we see, right? Like just the shadow masculine that's not respecting the feminine, that's not honoring our sensuality in a way that's honoring and sacred. And we see this, like we look at our world, we see relationships that are toxic, out of balance, kids that treat each other poorly, sexuality that's just totally filled with shadow, darkness. And when we actually clean this stuff up on the inside, we don't have to act that out anymore in our relationships, or in our sexuality. But we need to know that we actually all came here to grow and to heal and to evolve. So I'm not saying like you're wrong if you have these things. Right. We all do. It's just having the awareness and the willingness, if you want greater flow in your life, greater harmony, greater balance, greater beauty, greater connection, then these are the things you need to be aware of. And you need to notice, are you loving your own feminine and masculine, or are you shaming them or putting them down or feeling bad? Or, even a woman in her body, if she's gained some weight or this, like she can shame herself and be in the shadow of, oh, I'm so horrible, and all the thoughts that she thinks. And we can just go down that toxic path very easily, right? And then toxicity attracts more toxicity. So when we honor and come to the healing of the shadow feminine and the shadow masculine, and find a way for them to get in connection and harmony, and as well, to me, having a connection to the higher power as well, then there's a way that everything shifts in our life, including our relationships. And that's my main focus.
Okay. So what are the other tenets of creating this sacred, lasting love?
Awesome. The first one is you have to first, like I said, admit that you want it, right? Mm-hmm. You need to be willing to have honest communication. So you got to show up. Like part of the being feminine is getting clear on your desire, being able to learn how to communicate it, how to ask for it, how to be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. It's scary stuff, I know. Yeah. Do you know what's really funny is scared and sacred are almost the same. You just switch two letters around. And even sometimes when I'm writing my marketing, I'll write scared love. And I'm like, yeah, no, right? But sacred and scared, sometimes the sacred, and when I say sacred, it's like connected to consciousness, connected to a higher power. It's like the sacred is when you see a sunset and you're just like, whoa, something touched you at a deeper level, or you see a baby being born and it's like, wow, like life is more than what I see. And so, but sometimes when we go to those places of intimacy and vulnerability, we're scared because we haven't had models. We haven't had anyone teach us. We don't have the tools. And so my role is to create a safe, sacred container is what I call it. So people can feel safe to drop in and learn how to be vulnerable. And my masculine creates like the tools, the container, so that the feminine in the relationship can drop in and have the connection. So by having these tools that I teach, people are able to have the structure that they also don't have to figure out, because I think that's one of the biggest problems is we're like, okay, I know I need to change. Oh, I know I want to be connected to you right now, but I don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. And so what do? Like, let's get connected. Let's sit on the couch and watch Netflix and look at our phone. But I'm spending time with you. But we're like, I don't feel connected to you. Mm-hmm. And they're like, but I'm with you all the time. I don't know what more you want from me. But it's learning, like, the connection that we crave is so much deeper. And again, it doesn't have to take hours and hours, but we need tools. And so I teach communication tools and special dyads. I teach sacred sexuality practices. I teach ways of connecting and honoring your partner. And all the practices I teach are 15 to 20 minutes in length. But if people would commit to doing one or two of those practices a week with their partner, their whole relationship would shift. So you have to be willing to commit. You have to make it a priority. Do you know, relationships are everything. They're the most important thing that gives us joy, happiness, or deep sorrow. You know, if our relationships are great, we're on top of the world. Like, woo, everything's great. I can win $1 million. It's like you won $1 million. You go through your day, you're just like, hi, everything's awesome. Your relationships are bad. You can feel shut down, not confident. Your whole world goes down, and it affects your finances, your health, affects everything. And yet, it's one of the most important things, and I think it's the place where we spend the least amount of time learning and being educated and knowing how to understand, how to communicate and have tools. It's just like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And so I had to go travel around the world to learn the things that I'm teaching and devour every book. But it's not something that's really in books. It's about being able to be with another person, to be vulnerable, and to, have these tools. But number one is just realizing it's important, saying that you're going to make it a priority in your relationship, actually scheduling time for this type of connection. And if you don't know how, that's okay. Like, I want people not to feel bad, because I think people have a lot of shame around their relationships and their inability to make them work. And I just want to help people heal that and be forgiving themselves, because no one's taught us how to do it. And if we're just going around haphazardly trying to do this thing that is so important, we get the results by the energy we put in. So that's the number one, is making it a priority and learning, investing, learning new tools and techniques. And the couples that I've worked with, they have confidence of having sacred love that lasts because they have these tools. They know that if they get out of connection, they'll feel it, they'll notice it, and they're not going to just put up a wall and act like it's not there. They're going to address it, and they have a safe way of tools and a container to do that and then get back into their connection. So you have to notice when you get out of connection and then make it a priority to get back in. But most of us, we get hurt or something happens and a little wall gets put up, and we don't talk about it. Yeah. And then another wall gets put up and we don't talk about it. And then all of these walls are put up, and all of a sudden this person that you were so connected to, you're like, I don't know what happened. Mm-hmm. And then we've got to go back and start to tell the truth about all the things that we didn't talk about.
Okay. So that brings up another point. What do you do if you're at that point in your relationship where there's all these unsaid things and the walls that get put up, but you still want it to work? What do you do? Yeah.
So I think you get help, because here's the thing. Two people in the relationship, you're trying and your energies are butting against each other. Mm-hmm. You bring in a third energy, a coach, a healer, someone like myself. This is what I do. I hold space for this. That energy just starts to open up more possibility. And I think it's important to have someone other than the couple holding the safe space. Yeah. And then when I work with couples like that, I create a safe space for them to actually get honest and tell the truth. But I first get them to understand the importance of it and how not telling the truth has been causing the distance. And then I make it safe, and I do these containers 15, 20 minutes, and I give them different practices to do. And slowly but surely, as they get back into truth, they get back connected. But I can't even get into helping a couple get back connected with my other tools until we clear kind of the garbage, right? And make space for it. And we have to know it's okay. And sometimes we don't tell our partner the truth because we think we're protecting them, but we're not. You know, the truth is the sexiest, most attractive thing that we have. And it's what keeps us in the present moment. So when we lie or we hide the truth, or we think we're protecting, or we shut down when we really got hurt or closed because we want to make it work, all of those things build those walls. So that's part of being aware, noticing it, and taking responsibility. You know, and you have to have a partner that's willing to. If one of you's willing and the other isn't, it won't work, you know.
Yeah, I agree about honesty and telling the truth. Is there a way to talk to your partner about something hard or difficult or challenging that you really don't want to have to talk about, but the conversation needs to happen? Is there a good way to do that?
Yeah. I mean, first off, I just say to my partner, I'm really nervous about talking to you about this. I feel very vulnerable. And just that, just admitting that I'm vulnerable. I'm not trying to be all tough and hard, like, sit down, I'm going to tell you this. We have to have a talk, right? That's how we come at it a lot of times. And then the other person's like, feels they have to get into defense and protect and defend. And so it's like, first off, it's just having the agreement that, look, we're in this together. When things come up, I want to talk about them. But one is making sure you're talking to your partner, that they're available to talk. So you don't just go in when they're in the middle of work and be like, da, and then be like, see, you never want to talk to me. I mean, you have to ask, like, is this an appropriate time for us? I really want to share something with you that's vulnerable and on my heart. And then you'll see. And if they say not right now, when would be a good time? So you set up like a space. Yeah, it's invitational. It's not forced. But both people feel like they get to come willingly to the space, right? And no one's being ambushed. And then both people in the dyad process that I teach, they each get a turn to share without being interrupted, just being heard, really heard, listened to, and acknowledged for that. And sometimes just feeling like your partner finally heard you and got it. We want to be gotten. Yes. Right. And when we don't, or they're like, I already got it, or they're half giving us their attention while you're telling them something important, we don't feel gotten, and then it never feels resolved.
Yeah. Or you can tell that they're formulating their own response to that rather than just taking it in.
Yes, totally. Just being willing. And the more that we're in balance, it's like, it's not an attack. And that's what we have to get. We're both on the same side. I'm here to have a great connection with you. And yeah, it's going to be vulnerable sometimes and scary. And I just tell the truth. I say, I'm scared. Like, this feels really nerve-wracking, but I'm more interested in being connected with you than holding this in. I remember when I first started dating the guy that I mentioned that I have the beautiful sacred love connection with, we were just dating and everything was going awesome. And I remember being at his house and we were watching a movie, and, he made some comment about a woman in the movie, something, and it shut me down. I felt it. And I was like, part of me, I went through this whole process. I could judge it and, not tell him because I want to be so cool and so awesome and it's not bothering me. But I was like, if I don't say something, I feel the wall and it's going to just build again. And I like this guy. I don't want to have a wall with him. So I stopped and I said, I just want to say, this is really uncomfortable for me, but I want to have a great connection with you. And I just felt myself closed down and I don't want to get closed down to you. So would you be willing to just hear what happened for me? And he's like, oh my God, yes. And he was like so in awe of my conscious ability to say that and to share it and not make him wrong, but just say, hey, I value our connection and I value that more than my own pride of being like, oh, that didn't bother me. I'm so cool.
That's such a beautiful way to bring that up. And I like the idea of like you're setting an intention. Your intention is simply to share. You don't have an agenda. And then also the idea that I just lost my train of thought. So you're having an intention and you're making it safe. Oh, and then taking responsibility for like, this is what's going on for me. Like you did this or when you did this or whatever, but this is what's going on for me. And this is how it landed with me. And so it's more about yourself and your, what's going on for you and just sharing that.
Totally. And like before I was aware of these things, the way I would have dealt with that situation is get kind of bitchy, snappy, closed down. And then he'd be like, what's up? Or talking to me. And I'd be like, kind of irritated. And then he's like, what's going on? What's wrong? Nothing. Nothing. I mean, it's just like, what do you do with that? It's so unfair for us to do that to each other when we are feeling beings. We can know when things are off and it's okay. And like I said to him, this could just be all my own trigger, but I notice it, I'm feeling it, and it's keeping me from being connected to you right now.
Yeah. So again, I'm hearing you taking responsibility for your experience and sharing what happened for you and being open to hear what he has to say. That's so beautiful. I just, and we all start at that place, or at least most of us, because we haven't, like you said, had role modeling that would give us another possibility of how to approach something that says, like, I'm just not going to talk about it, or you have to draw it out of me. And then it starts feeling like a little game, and then that feels bad. And then it just kind of spirals out.
Totally. And that's what I want people to know. Again, the shame, the guilt we have about doing it wrong or having failed relationships. We think there's something inherently wrong with us. And it breaks my heart because I really see relationships as our growth of evolution. And as we evolve, we are ready for a different level of relationship. It may be with the same person. It may be with someone new. And a lot of times we make that wrong and we beat ourselves up and we feel bad and sometimes people stay in relationships that have already come to their completion because they're afraid of what's next or being on their own until they're ready for the next level of evolution of relationship, right? And so for me, it's like, I just want people to know that, again, we haven't been taught this. We have not, and we have had horrible role models, and you can see it in our world, and yet these things can be taught and learned. I learned them and I shifted my whole life. I mean, the relationships I used to have, like, I'm not sitting here saying, hey, look at me, I've got it all figured out. I learned everything I'm telling you from pain, from suffering, from doing it wrong, and then having to look back again. Are you serious? This is about me? Oh my God. And, I'll tell you also, like, I think I'm as conscious and awake as I am because I wanted a committed, loving, sacred relationship. And so when I wanted that and I realized, to get that, I have to become this woman. I have to become awake. I don't think I would have become awake just if you told me, let's get awakened. It didn't sound as sexy to me, right?
Yeah.
But like, if I get awake, I'm going to get to experience that level of consciousness. And I saw it every time I would grow or get another piece of this puzzle, the type of man I would attract would totally shift. And then the biggest piece was that masculine and feminine balance. But there's the other pieces along the way too, of healing. We also have to heal our past relationships. If you're taking that baggage into your current relationship, or you're in your current relationship and you won't let go of the stuff, you're going to stay stuck.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I love your honesty around your motivation. That is really, strong motivation for a lot of us, that partnership that's so important. And it's like, okay, the type of man that I would want to be with, who does he want to be with? He also wants to be with an evolved, aware, conscious person who is putting in the effort and is constantly and consistently bettering themselves and being willing to explore these really painful and really edgy type of conversations and awarenesses.
Totally. And it's like, if you're not willing to, then how can you expect
someone
who's done that level of work on themselves to show up for you? It's not fair. It's just like, we have to take responsibility, for that. And the other thing is, we need to not be embarrassed about learning about relationships. We need to not be embarrassed about taking relationship courses or having a relationship coach or seeing a healer. I see sometimes my clients will be like, I don't want to tell him I have a relationship coach, or I don't want anyone to know that. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You should blast that out to the world. I am so committed to love and to consciousness that I am working on myself. I am growing. I am learning how to talk to men, how to understand them, how to understand women, how to learn different practices of connection. Like, I would be proudly saying, yes, I have mastered these things because this is important to me, and you would be so lucky to get to have a relationship with me.
I love that. That's a beautiful mindset shift. And mindset is so important, especially when we're starting to make those changes in those shifts in our lives. How we approach it, not just what we're doing, but I always say it's not what you do, it's how you do it. I mean, it is what you do, but it's a lot of it's how you do it, how you
the space you do it from.
Yes, the energy that you're in. So you've mentioned a couple of times, my dear, about practices or tools. Like, could you mention specifically one or two of those things that our listeners can take away?
Yeah, I think if I'll give you two different ones. I'll give some for someone that's in a relationship and someone that's single listening.
Okay.
So if you're in a relationship and you're kind of like, oh, that might be me. I think that I have some stack ups here with my partner. I mean, the first thing I would just say is maybe you sit down and watch this interview with them and just create a conversation, a safe place, that this is something that's important to you, that you'd like to start, and you'd like to try to do things differently and create this conversation container. And, one thing you can just do in a dyad is like, tell me something that you appreciate about our relationship. And then you just listen and you let them talk. You don't interrupt. You don't say, oh, I like that too. Oh, I like that too. Oh, you just listen and you're present and you hold the space and you're connected to them. And when they're fully done, you say, thank you. And then they'll say to you, tell me something you appreciate about our relationship. And then you share and you go back and forth. So I tell people to set a timer. So there's a container, 10 or 15 minutes. That's one. And it's always better to start with some appreciations, with some great things before you get into like, tell me something you don't appreciate about our relationship, or tell me something that you'd like to improve, or tell me something that you want me to understand about you. I mean, I have hundreds of these, but they're specific to where a couple's at. And my goal is to get people to understand this format, to make it more routine, and then that they have regular date nights where they're doing these dyad practices and communication practices, because most intimacy starts there. And when we feel safe there, and when we feel heard and accepted, it's amazing what that will do for your sex life and your sensuality, right? And your ability to connect and be present to your partner. So that's one that I would say for couples. And again, I want to also give a caution, like, if you're like, I try it and it didn't go well. Yeah, it's because you guys have a lot of history and a lot of stuff. And that's why it really is, if you are going through problems, get some support, and don't feel bad about it. Be like, honey, I love you so much. I want to work on our relationship. I just realized that we may not have invested as much time or energy or knowledge, and I'm ready to. And I want to learn with you. Right? Again, that's vulnerable. It's not going, our relationship sucks. I'm bored.
And it's such a compliment to the other person. Like, I am so invested in what we're creating and our future, and having this be a great experience for both of us, that, I'm willing to put in the time and energy and money and so forth.
Totally. And if they're not, then that's also a wake-up call for you, where I'm saying you might need to reassess, what do you really want? Just like how I was with the guy for 9 years who was never going to ever have the capacity to meet me there. And again, there's nothing wrong with him. He just wasn't a good romantic partner for me. Yeah. And so for singles, it's about really I want singles to know that they can have this love. And if it's taken longer maybe than they would have liked, because I do believe that as we've evolved in this consciousness, that some women, men are finding their sacred love later on in life. And I actually believe that that's a blessing of the divine that is getting us prepared and ready to be able to receive that. But sometimes it takes longer and we get impatient because you can see your friends or other people having it and getting it. And I just want people to know that they can have it, and that if you want this kind of love, don't give up and don't settle, but do get some help and not feel bad about it, not have shame around. There's nothing wrong with you. I really believe that these people are ready for the next level of relationship, and they just need the right mentor to guide them and create this next evolution, this conscious relationship revolution where we're together based on our desire to be together, but not because I need you. Like the old way is like, oh, you complete me. We all watched Jerry Maguire and it was like, you complete me. And at the time I thought, oh, I want that. I want my other half, right? Yeah. And then as I evolved, I was like, what? My other half? I'm a whole.
Yes.
I am a whole and I want another whole, right? I don't want to carry anybody. And you know what? Nobody wants to carry me. I think that the times of that kind of relationship and feeling like, oh, I'm going to stay smaller than I am, like, no, it's like, be as powerful as you are. Like, I want to tell the ladies, the men, like, be fully who you are. Step up in your business, step up in your life. Like, for a long time, I thought, oh, I've got this purpose to help people in relationships. And when I meet this divine partner, oh my God, we're going to do this together. And part of me, I had to heal, was like, no, this is my purpose. My masculine and my feminine are going to get together and do this. And once I did that, then the partner that I have, the same one I mentioned, what he gives me is so nourishing. I'm not looking to him to pay my bills or to, do my business for me. I desire what I can't give myself is this kind of sacred connection that nourishes me, that I feel seen, that I feel safe, that if I'm having a bad day, his presence, I could just, because it's safe. And that is so valuable to me and so rare. And it's like, when you can have that with someone, that is so special, right? And that's what I think relationships, that's what we want. It's not so much provide for me, protect me.
Right.
We can still do those things and we can still be appreciative of them, of course, but we get to create it through our communication of what do we want our relationship to look like. It doesn't have to look like everybody else.
Yeah, and we hold visions for our partner and them for us that are higher than perhaps even we're holding for ourselves.
Yes.
And they hold us accountable to that and ask us to step up at times and, really are kind of like, seeing us in our biggest light and want us to play our biggest game.
Totally. Like they're not wanting to diminish you, to like have power over you or to feel better of themselves. They're like, no, go be the full on whole being that you are. And I want to revel in it and support you and watch it. And even seeing your partner like that, like actually waking up in the morning, choosing them every day fresh, and like seeing them as this powerful, amazing man or this powerful, amazing woman and feeling grateful that you're with that person. And when you send them out into the world with that kind of energy, or you can wake up and be like, oh, it's you. And oh, God. All right. It's like a whole different.
Right. It's such a choice. Yes, absolutely. And everything is a choice in life, also how we're interacting with ourselves and how we're showing up in the world and interacting with the world. And yeah, so I love that idea of waking up and choosing your partner every day. That's beautiful. It's
really big. And then we don't feel like we're trapped, right? Because guess what? Every day we are new. I'm not the same person I was last week. I'm evolving, and the more that people see that and hold my highest potential, and then we just grow. It's like the best thing we can do for each other. And when you treat someone like that, they're not going to be looking elsewhere. They're so fulfilled, so nourished, right? It's when we don't have that we're looking, or we have a wandering eye, or we're wondering the grass is greener over there.
That's such a good point too. Yeah, people think that it's about maybe more the superficial things or whatever, but yeah, the truth is it is those deeper things that hold a relationship together.
It really is, and being responsible and aware of our own emotions. And it's not to say I'm not to say I'm perfect, I'm whole, I'm never going to have anything. But when I feel something, I am resourceful, like what's going on with me, or what do I need to make myself happy, rather than looking to that person. You need to make me happy. You're not making me happy anymore. Well, why? What do I need? I need to even know that. And most of us don't know. We don't know what we even want. Yeah. And then we don't know how to communicate it. And then we're frustrated.
And it is not your partner's responsibility to make you happy. They can enhance your happiness, but happiness is an inside job. And then, of course, you can both add to that. And
absolutely.
More joy and ecstasy and everything else.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so you mentioned a specific practice for couples. Is there something for singles? I mean, you gave us hope and you talked about that. Is there a specific practice?
I think I would just guide singles to actually take some time to reflect, get clear, and maybe journal about what do you really desire in a partner? If you could wave a magic wand and you didn't have your, limiting beliefs, and you didn't have like what society has showed you, like what is in your heart? What is that desire? Just giving space to be honest with yourself, at least yourself.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to share it with anyone else, that's fine. But I think that just the honesty of saying, yes, I do want something deeper, and just being willing to inquire and go a little deeper of how am I showing up like that kind of person, or what are the things that I could do to improve myself, to get myself ready to have that.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Such good stuff here. I really am appreciating this. And I know that you're also offering a gift. Could you talk about your free gift?
Yes, I'm excited to offer this. I created a video series just for everyone here, and it's the 3 keys to sacred love that lasts.
Yay.
And so, yes, it's a 3-part series. It's short, it's not too long, but I give you the juice of it. And especially if you're in a relationship, sit down and watch this series with your partner, and then for everyone that does opt in to receive the 3-part video series, I'm also offering a special bonus for 5 people. They'll be randomly drawn, but I will be offering, it's a $500 value, but a 60-minute consultation with me where it's called my Sacred Love Breakthrough Strategy Session, where I'm going to help you get clear on what your desires are in love, whether you're single or in a relationship. I'm going to help you look and see your masculine and feminine energy and how are they working together. If there are what we need, I'm going to help you see what could be blocking you or sabotaging you from this sacred love, and then give you a clear path, clear steps for you based on your situation. And I do only have time to offer that to 5 people, but I will absolutely be grateful to spend that time, and those who receive that will leave that session energized, refreshed, clear, and inspired for sacred love. But everyone will get the video series, and like I said, 5 people will be chosen to have that session.
That's so generous. Thank you. So everyone's getting the video series. I have a link for you. Go ahead and go to that link and grab that now, and then after you do that, you might be one of the randomly chosen winners, one of the 5 people. So that's amazing. Thank you so much, Emunah.
Thank you. And thank you for this opportunity, to share, and for everything you did to put this event together. It's an amazing event, and there's so many amazing speakers, and yeah, I'm just grateful. I really feel like this message needs to be heard. It's time for it. And I'm grateful for the opportunity. So thank you.
I'm so grateful for this conversation and what you've offered everyone today. I really appreciate it. So thank you to you. Also, thank you to everyone who's here with us today. You're amazing. Yes. You took the time and the energy to pay attention and to absorb this stuff. Feel free to share it with your friends as well, so as many people get to benefit as possible. And just thank you from the bottom of my heart for being part of the Cutting Edge Convention.
Yes, I want to thank everyone too. And really, it does. That's the thing, is first just showing up, being willing to learn. Yes. And so, yeah, like celebrating you. Good job, everyone.
Woo, you're awesome. All right. So I'm Marcy Peters, and I will see you next time on the Cutting Edge Convention. Stay happy, healthy, and take good care. Bye for now.
Thank you for being part of the Cutting Edge Convention. We don't want you to miss a single valuable session. To have the entire event available to you at any time, purchase the package now before the event ends. That's when the price goes up. And watch your emails to get your next steps from Marcy.